Hey, Talk Shop ladies. Sitting on my comfy chair, very cozy, and I saw something that sparked a memory that I wanted to share with you guys. I find that when I process things and give you guys very practical examples, it sometimes sparks your guys' own curiosity and connections in your own mind. So let's talk about it. Regulating your nervous system. I've seen a lot of people, regardless if they believe in things like attachment theory and all this psychology stuff, which in my mind is very valid, another topic, but people have been talking about like these somatic healers, these body healers. They've talked about the nervous system healing, the nervous system expanding, the nervous system receiving, the nervous system holding. And I'm like, okay, thank goodness some people are starting to understand like the legit creation of the body, your nervous system, right? That's your physiology, your brain. Um, there's going to be different psychological concepts that other people are kind of weary of. Again, I'm not even going to comment on that. However, let's talk about the nervous system. So, part of us regulating the nervous system. It's not shutting down, it's not disappearing, dissociated, being overwhelmed, squashing, suppressing. No, regulating, being able to calm down enough to function, right? We've talked about the grounded stuff, being grounded, right? Those like employing the five senses. When you can regulate your nervous system, and there's a concept in psychology called optimal window of tolerance, that means you can think and feel at the same time. So you guys have probably noticed there's going to be times where you guys are so overwhelmed, so much feeling, so many emotions, you can't even think, you can't communicate, you can't even like process. That rational part of your brain shut off. All the energy went to the other side of the brain. I could say the emotions, that more primal survival reactive state. Or what we also don't want is emotions are shut off and we're only intellectual and logical and rational and yep, no feeling. So that's also a survival mode, not good. Optimal window of tolerance. We can think and feel at the same time. Whether that's extreme excitement and joy and I can still be present. You know, I'm not like euphoric mania, or you could be sad and sorrowful and experience grief and still be able to speak and connect and communicate. So what I was thinking about recently was how so interesting. Like, this is why I encourage all my girls, get out there and experience different tools, coping mechanisms, activities, hobbies. Girls, get out there and experience all that you can in terms of what helps your nervous system regulate. So when I was 18, my family got a little dog. My mom has always been against dogs, animals in the house, like just absolutely no, except for when my younger brother, who was at the time 16, got in this like really big accident that just messed up I mean his vision. It was a really impactful event. Excuse me, what is this? It was it was a big deal for our family, and my mom had no idea how to soothe my brother, like what to give him some kind of hope or love. And he's always grown up wanting to have a dog. Like, he used to have he would have like little stuffed dog pet, you know, these like pet animals, like when he was little, and it would be like, this is Spotty, this is Blackie, this is, you know, all these different cute names. And he'd put them to bed when I was putting my dolls to bed. He's always wanted a dog. And so when this just like disaster happened with him, and he was just hopeless and helpless, and we had no idea what was going to happen, and he was going through some depression. And I would think, you know, depression and just like your whole world stops. He was supposed to go to Running Start. He was supposed to get a driver's license. There's so much, like, as a teenager, your life starts to open up to, and it just kind of crashed and stopped and halted. And his friends were tested, who was able to come out and drive and visit him. And it was a lot. And what happened was, my mom was at the store with him at one time, just getting something at a pet store, and they see this little doggy, very shy little boy, standing in the corner, so quiet. I don't know if he was the runt, but there was this like instant connection. My brother was like, yeah, whatever, like, he's cute, but I already know, Mom, you're never gonna get it. You never have. I don't even want to talk about it, you know? And my mom in her like heart was like, why can't I give to my son to just help him have something? She calls my dad and she's like, I've always been against dogs, but this one looks so cute. I don't know what to do. I don't want to make anything irrational, any kind of decision. And so my dad's like, just get it, like anything. I don't know. So anyways, they end up getting that dog, and I was 18 and I come home from a trip and this tiny little cutie, I suppose I should, oh, I framed him. Here he is. This is him when he was little. I don't know how much you guys can see, but my grandma was very disappointed that I framed this dog. She told me I should have children instead, but you know, side note. Anyways, we get this dog, and oh my gosh, our family, from my dad to my mom to my brother to me, fell in love. He was quiet. He was not a yapper. He was kind of smaller. I mean, he was baby. My husband would be like, oh my gosh, he's overly babied. But this dog, we had him for a calculated 11 years. And that was like traumatic for me, how he, you know, died. Just, I mean, death in general. But the thing is, like, we got this dog for my brother initially. We didn't even imagine how much we would have all bonded to him. And me especially, right? I grew up, like I've told you guys, I had a trauma with dogs, and then I thought, like, this little dog, his name was Astro. We're like, or in Russian I call him Astrik. You know, I just was like, oh, he's small, and you know, that's why I'm getting used to him. But man, my heart fell in love with this little boy, this little personality, his, like, you think he's our baby, right? Like, how did we even live without him? He brought so much fun into our lives. He was this cuddle bug. He, like, I loved him, and his fur was just so soft. And he would cuddle next to you, and I didn't even realize, guys, ladies, when my brother went to college, like a couple years later, and that was a big deal, I really promoted. My mom was like, no. And I was like, he needs to have some independence. He needs to, like, get out and experience life, like, let him develop as a man. And so he went to a college like an hour and a half away. And so Astro, you know, I was the one with this doggy at home. I went to college, but it was in hometown. And so I would come home, and I couldn't wait to come home and do my homework around him and have him cuddle next to me, because I didn't feel completely alone, because I only had one brother who wasn't even home anymore. And, you know, I was very blessed to have my mom, my dad. They're always working kind of on their own thing, but I loved how this dog always had to be in the same room as us. Like, he could not stand being in a room by himself. Like, I have so many pictures of him cuddling next to me as I'm on my computer. And it was just this, like, reassurance, something living, something breathing, some kind of presence. You know, I had my own ups and downs throughout life, whether it was challenges with school, challenges with being busy at church, challenges feeling alone, or you know, my own thing that I've struggled with. Oh my gosh, I need some water. Struggled with not having a sister or friends that live too close. But I always had my dog, and my dog was always so happy to see us when we came home, right? You guys get the point. Anyone who has some kind of animal that they really enjoy, I want you to look at it a little bit from, like, a psychology lens, meaning nervous system regulation. How did it help you feel grounded and secure and cozied and soft, or whatever it is, or happy, or like, oh, right, what is it that maybe an animal, or for you guys it's something else. So let's fast forward a little bit as to why I'm bringing this up. After my dog died literally a month after I met Tanner, now my husband. So now I'm married, and I've lived here for a couple of months now, not even a year in this house. I love this home, but, like, for the first time, I'm alone in this house, right? I've lived with my family, as most Russian kind of cultures do. I lived with my mom, my dad. My brother has been in and out with where he lives, but we've always had the dog, well, since I was 18. And I kind of realized something. I've had times where, like, obviously my husband is not my entire world, nor does he need to be. He's his own person. But there have been times where, You know, husband comes home, he's exhausted, he's worked his 410s. It's, you know, he's had some like times where he gets very just tired or drained or some other, you know, physical, just headaches, exhaustions, being sick, whatever, like life stuff. And he comes home and he's so, let's say, exhausted or overstimulated from work. And I understand that. I understand polyvagal theory. If he's depleted from resources, like he needs to regenerate his energy, he needs to restore. And I've had times that you know, here where I'm like working home and by myself, and there's no dog, there's no person, there's nobody here as in terms of humans besides like neighbors. By the time he comes home, of course I'm like, yes, Tanner's home, I want to hug him, I want to kiss him, I want to be with you, like da da da. And he's overstimulated, he's exhausted, he's tired, he's sick, or his head hurts, or whatever has happened, right? And he just needs to go straight to bed. And there have been a few times where he's so, like, if I could say, not overwhelmed, but like maxed out, I would say, and needs to like be restored and replenished just through eat and sleep and shower and just rejuvenate before the next day. I started to realize something. I started to get a little triggered. And at first I didn't understand, like, what's going on? Am I being ungrateful? Am I being sassy? Am I being entitled? Like, and I'm like, no, like, it took me some time to realize, yes, of course I look forwards to connection with my husband. I'm feeling alone. And then I started to realize, and this was very surprising for me, I have not considered myself a very touchy person growing up. Love language, physical was not mine, probably because of my family that I grew up with. You guys have heard my other videos. My dad would shake my hand. That's our love language. You know, it's not. But I realized I realized, like, my husband had told me when we were dating, he's like, I know you're gonna be like a cuddle bug. And I was like, what? No way, not me, no, never. And he's like, no, I know it. And he was right. Like, when I started to warm up being able to be around him as a man, because I've told you guys I had to even overcome that block. Being around him, like, I remember the first time I even laid on his chest, I was like, wow, like, it feels so safe, so connected, so secure. I've never felt like this. I blamed on my dog's little stomach. He's laying, and heard his little ting 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 ting, his little heartbeat. But like being laying on a man who's bigger than you and feeling that like safety and connection, it's very grounding. It's very safe, secure, helps your nervous system. I realized, like, subconsciously, right? Because I don't like analyze everything on the spot. My system, my nervous system, kind of equated Tanner's body, especially now being married, like as something that regulates me, helps me feel connected. Like if we've been out doing busy doing our own stuff, I've realized as I tune into my nervous system, where we can be busy, we can be around each other, we can do stuff, but sometimes I just crave like touching him, meaning like connecting, like having a part of my face on his arm, on his chest, or just something very kind of like, again, safe, secure, intimate in that way. And that's very new for me, right? And so I realized something kind of interesting is when Tanner's had his days or week or whatever of just overwhelming work, lots going on, his body's tired, he's had some stuff that he's been working through in terms of his like physical health. When I did not, I felt kind of alone, discombobulated a little bit at home when doing my work. And then he comes home and he's like, I gotta go to bed, I'm sorry babe, like I can't. And I'm like, oh, what? Like, what does my system connect to? And I realized something. I had a couple moments. I just started to just cry. Like, he's at bed, it's 7 p.m. I've been here by myself the whole day, doing my own work stuff, that's fine. And I'm alone. And that's when, like, my mind would be like, what? Like, I'm alone, I'm triggered. It could even be as severe as, does he even love me? Even though I know that's not true, and that's something I had to, like, kick in the butt and be like, what is that? But guess what I started to crave, and I had no idea the connection before. My dog. I started to, like, this had happened a couple of times. I started to just bawl, sob, over my dog Astro, who died 2 years ago now. And I'm like, what in the world? Like, I understand it's like an open thing. Like, I'm always gonna miss him. Like, that was a very special dog that like God blessed us with, honestly. He helped us in so many ways, but like I was so perplexed why every time I couldn't get my, if I could say, connection, cuddles, groundedness with my husband, specifically touch, right? I just kept thinking about my dog. I realized like I need to change my screensaver on the background of my phone, not the home screen, but the like when you open it up, I had to have a picture of my dog. There's something about connecting to him, at least via picture imagination, just helped me feel a little bit more calm, but at the same time kind of dysregulated because I was so like craving my dog and crying about him. And the first time that this happened, it's like I miss Tanner, but why am I sobbing about my dog as I'm sitting on the couch? I just figured, oh, I'm still healing. The second time this happened, and I'm like, I need to change my phone back to my dog, and I just keep crying about him, and I'm just looking at videos of him sobbing. Okay, by the time this happened the third time, like within like months, I was like, this is kind of interesting, curious. Why do I keep thinking about my dog? And that's when I started to connect it on a psychology level. Pets regulate the nervous system. Pets help us feel grounded when we're connected to them, when we touch them, when we pet them. They're called pets. When we feel the little soft hair, when they cuddle, their little breath, their warm little body. It's the five senses. And I was shocked to realize just recently how much of a grounding little coping mechanism my dog had served me in my life. I didn't even know, right? Subconsciously, like I'm reaching to it, I need to cuddle him. But now that information has leaked into this thinking part of the brain, I'm just in awe how God sprinkles all these beautiful things that we don't even recognize is a nervous system regulatory type of thing in our lives until we don't have it and we keep craving it. So like ladies, ask yourself this next time you're feeling alone, rejected, sad, angry, whatever. What are you craving? What are you thinking of? Like some of it could be you need to process something, let's say some kind of trauma thing. But like in terms of you calming down, do you think back like, oh, I love being in my hammock. I used to swing on it in the summer. Or, oh, I love being by the water and just having my feet in it. Or what are you guys craving? What do you think back? What are you sobbing over? Because a lot of times that will give you some insight as to what your body is craving that it knows maybe doesn't have right now in terms of regulating your nervous system, your anxiety, your fight, flight, freeze modes, all of that. So no, I don't have my little dog to come back to, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, my system is feeling like it wants to be held, to be loved. And so I've had times where I just be like, Tanner, I need a hug or whatever. In general, I'll ask him for it now, whereas before I don't even know if I realized that's what I wanted. But you know what else I had to kind of do? To start to get creative as to, I don't want my whole world to be, my husband's coming home from work. I don't want that to be my whole world. And so I started to get creative during the day. I start to go to like coffee shops. I'm around people. I'm doing things. I'll go visit my parents. Like, no, right now I don't have an animal to hug or cuddle or whatever. And I've had times where I literally just stopped at a pet store just because I wanted to like to touch that, right? But I do things in a way to kind of fill me up in a way where by the time I come home, I'm not dependent on my husband always being present and alert and happy because that's not realistic. But I'm finding different ways to connect with my nervous system, what feels good. Even the type of coffee shop I go to. I mean, I kind of wish we had some better ones around, but there's going to be coffee shops that I always look for the cozy stuff. That's so important for me in terms of being grounded. Like, I can't stand going to coffee shops who have these like concrete floors and it's so loud, and I can't stand that. I'm always looking for like, is there a fireplace? Bonus points if there's carpet and it's quiet, Your nervous system might need something else. I've shared one example and I'll leave it kind of with this. Our nervous systems are attuned to different things. What calms me down is going to overstimulate and freak you out. You know, I remember when I was driving with my friends somewhere and we had some music in the background. She was listening to her, I've told this story before, to her like gospel choir music, these people singing, hallelujah, hallelujah. You know, she's just into that. I was fine when I was GPSing, but then we started to get lost. And then we realized the roads were shut down and everyone's driving in circles. We were literally stuck in some residential area, cannot get out, missing our excursion that we had on vacation. And she's driving, I'm GPSing, I'm getting frustrated, I can't orientate, this doesn't make sense, the roads keep changing, right? And I'm like turning down this music because it's this hallelujah is interfering with my analytical brain trying to like map out where are we. And every time I turn it down, all of a sudden it goes from hallelujah, hallelujah, because my friend just turned it up again. And I finally was like, can you just stop turning it up? Like it's bothering me. It's overstimulating me. I can't focus. I'm like going into panic almost, like it's too loud. And she's like, really? Like the opposite is happening with me when there's no music and we're like, it was bad. The roads were so bad. She's like, I need something, some kind of sound and music to kind of ground myself because I'm starting to panic without it. Like, oh, again, polyvagal, our nervous systems are just wired different, so we found a happy medium instead of us getting kind of mad at each other. So what does your nervous system need? It's a real thing. Do you need to go bake? Do you need to hold a hot little mug of hot tea and smell it? Do you need a soft blanket? Because, you know, for me, these warmed heated blankets do the magic. What do you need? It's all these little things that you attuning to your system or helping your child figure out helps them. And that's a very beautiful thing that God did for us. So let me know your thoughts. Just a little video for you, but hope you have a good one and may you continue to attune to your nervous system.